Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim and Age of Wonders 4. The Gargoyle update has arrived in Steam Open Beta. This is the free patch coming alongside the Thrones of Blood on November 11th. Introducing the rework, the long-awaited rework to the Dark Culture, and some other stuff. And today, we're going to find out. Now again, this is an open beta, but most likely this will be the patch that goes live with some slight tweaks here and there, mostly numerical. They won't be able to do any major changes, but they are always receptive to feedback. So if you're on Steam and you want to give it a shot, go stab things with the Dark Culture. I'll leave a link in the description, of course, to the Paradox forum where you can read this or peruse it for yourself. We'll include some instructions, just briefly go over the intro, and then get into the nice, juicy changes. The release of Thrones of Blood is slowly approaching, and as with every release, it is accompanied by a free update. Starting now, the Gargoyle update is an open beta on Steam. Owners of the game on Steam can access the Gargoyle update by opting into the Gargoyle beta branch. See instructions below. The Gargoyle update features the long-requested Dark Culture rework, introducing the ruling cults. There's also a variety of new item fortune fusions and an extensive update to the onboarding experience. With our open betas, we set out for two things. A big benefit of open beta is the incredible amount of stability feedback we receive. What you're receiving today is the version of the game we have just submitted for certification. While this open beta is running, we are simultaneously developing our Day Zero patch. Things might be a bit more hot code, but this allows us to implement the most pressing fixes into our release build. We also want to give the modding community a head start in updating their content to match the new update. We've done some testing to verify initial compatibility, but there's a test variety of methods, a vast variety of mods and mod combinations out there. Indeed there are. And you'll be in this version. The many, many numbers. Of course, leaving feedback. There's a discussion thread in the open beta discussions. They're interested in stability, modding, and balance changes, but they're open to making balance changes that focus on any extreme imbalances in newer updated systems and need to be tackled ASAP. But these need to be known and implemented before Tuesday the 28th for the certification process. So again, most changes will be numerical in nature, and big changes will take time. Yeah. The final update of this beta will be when we submit the Day Zero patch or certification. After that, the branch will remain active until the release of Thrones of Blood and the Gargoyle update on November 11th. When the time of release hits, the beta branch will be included or updated to include Thrones of Blood content. This ensures a smooth transition for users switching back to the default branch. A few hours after release, the Gargoyle beta branch will be disabled and removed. So yeah, if you make a game on the beta, it cannot be transferred to the live game until after the release of Thrones of Blood. Here's some more details. Again, I'll link this in the description if you would like to set it up for yourself. So, now then, let's get to the fun part, the juicy deets. Highlights. System update onboarding. Through 2 years of active development, Age of Wonders 4 has seen tons of changes, and every day we see new players join. That's fantastic. With that in mind, we have taken a holistic look at the onboarding experience. The tutorial is now extended to every step of the realm and faction creation, advices have been turned into full tutorials, and all outdated tutorials have been updated and outfitted with new voiceovers. This is one of those boring things that they just have to do, you know? So new tutorials, added recommendations, removed the advice system, advice window reworked into tutorial history, reworked all advice into tutorials, updated all existing tutorials, with improved instructions, added highlights, new voiceovers, added a message for returning players that still have the tutorial system enabled to mark all base game tutorials as seen. I wonder if I still have it turned on. Tutorial progression is now saved in your session. Recent tutorials now applies to active/in-progress sessions without anything to do from the main menu. Nice! Again, this is one of those just boring things that is fantastic for new players. I'm glad they did it. It had to be done. Now then, new stuff. The Item Forge is getting expanded with a variety of new infusions. Several abilities and passives have been added to the Item Forge, so players can add them to gear and so they can appear as part of the auto-generated loot that players find. So, a lot of stuff has been added to staves and wands, which is good because they're pretty boring. Freezing Blast, I believe this is the White Witch's thing, Crushing Anguish, the Finger of Death, Fog Reigns Supreme. I wonder what this needs. Stunning Flash, don't know what that is. Poison Dart. This is a miscellaneous trinket, isn't it? Sundering Curse, I believe that's the Warlock thing. Trekker's Mark from the Tree people. The Tree Archer. Flame Strike. Ooh, putting that on a hero could be nutty. This is the Pyromancer ability. Song of Carnage and Revelry from my waifu. Seduce. Ironically, not from my waifu. Astral Blessing. Ooh, this is a good ability. I believe this is from that support unit, right? That you can only get through the rally or by summoning it. It heals you and gives you like an astral shield thing. Grant Defense. Is that the name we're going with? Is that what the Industrious support thing is called? And Exposing Light. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't this the Awakener ability? Well, we might have to play around with this. Also, it being on wand means these are all miscellaneous stuff, too. You could either put it on a staff for a Ritualist, Battle Saint, Elementalist, Warlock, or you could put it on a wand for everyone else. Do you think this all will scale with magic damage? Oh my. Added the following active abilities as options on wands. Fire Breath, Frost Breath, Future Breath. Wasn't there already a wand of fire breathing? I don't know if there was. Added the following passive abilities as option on rings. Weakening Aura, Terrifying Aura, Aura of Disease, and Distracting Aura. Ooh, Terrifying Aura with the new Dark Culture? That's going to be fun. Added the following passive abilities as options on miscellaneous items. Caretaker. I'm not sure what that is. Or Unleash the Hounds. This is good fun. This bitch just makes you a walking hound master. Added the Electrified passive ability to primary weapons. Huh. Okay. Was that not already there? You couldn't apply Electrified on weapons? Interesting. New content in the Pantheon. So they added a new page, or page support for Pantheon rewards. This is suggestive of long-term plans for the game. Again, Age of Wonders 4 will never die! Now at the bottom of the Pantheon, there is a page 1, page 2 thing. Page 2 only has these 13 items. Feels very empty, but that's okay. We'll get there. Vampire Hunter themed Pantheon items. Well, I don't know if it's 13. There's 13 new Vampire Hunter themed Pantheon items. An outfit, hat, and cape. This is basically Bloodborne. Just imagine the Bloodborne front page character, John Bloodborne himself. That's what the outfit is. Item Forge visuals, the Hunter crossbow, the Hunter's rapier and whip, and the garlic trinket. Item Forge infusions, Pole Shot active ability infusion. Pull shot. Do you think that's a shot that pulls your enemies towards you? Wail of the Banshee is the AoE Screech. That could also be really good for, what is this on? Oh, it's an active ability. Still doesn't tell me what it's on, but that could be really good. Pierce shots and Inspiring Presence. Okay. Two banner icons, the Chalice and the Stake of the Mace, and the new society trait, Apex Predator. I think this is going to be really good. This is the first evil nature society trait, and I think it's going to be great. It encourages very aggressive gameplay too, which is fun, compared to the ones I've been getting recently. Two generic banner unlocks, the Wheel of Ages and the Triumph logo. The Wheel of Ages is the Age of Wonders 4 logo, and the Triumph logo is the game developer logo. And now it's time what we've been waiting for. We've spotted a few of these things in the dev stream, and I pointed them out in those videos, but here are the specific details. Rework the Dark Ruling Cults. The Dark Culture has been updated to interact more closely with the existing hero system. The Cult of Tyranny sees domination as the ultimate show of power, oppressing vassals and exploiting cities. They specialize in debilitating their opponents and grinding down their weakest foes. The Cult of Death is one where sacrifice is the norm and a tool for those in power. Their units gain power from the deaths of both their allies and their enemies, critical strikes coming more steadily as the slaughter continues. There is some whispers. The Cult of Death may be too strong. But now we can test it ourselves now. So the global updates. The Dark Warrior has been renamed to Immortal and given lesser resurgence and expendable. So when he dies, he does not incur a morale penalty, And if you win, he will come back to life with no movement and 10% of his HP. And then the Pursuer no longer inflicts weakens with its attacks, but it has a new ability called Relentless Pursuit. It is a free action once per combat teleport to target location with a range of 3, but it is reset when the Pursuer kills a unit. Not gonna lie, I think this is pretty strong. This is a tier 1 archer too. I think this could be pretty good. The Cult of Tyranny is a shadow culture. Fair, that's what it was originally. Its theme is to break the spirit to rule, and its combat focus is on weakening and frost damage, similar to the original variation of the cult. This is kind of the closest to it. So, they have hostage diplomacy. The Cult of Tyranny starts with -1 Whispering Stone, so just like the Reavers, they start with none. The free city heroes defeated in combat are always captured and put into your prison. When releasing a conquered city as your vassal, a random hero from their hero pool is immediately captured and put into prison. So, even if... I'll finish reading, then I'll explain. Heroes in your prison make the free city or vassal they belong to count as though they had a Whispering Stone assigned. Returning any you had previously assigned, grant an additional +1 allegiance per turn for the free city towards your empire. Making peace with their city becomes 50% cheaper for each of their heroes in your prison, and when executed, your cities gain +10 stability for 10 turns. So, even if you peacefully annex a free city through a Whispering Stone, you can get one from the Imperium tree, you can throw it over to a free city. Once they become your vassal, you will imprison one of their heroes. You always have one of their heroes in prison, because that counts as your Whispering Stone. So you can then take your Whispering Stone and give it to another free city, or you can put it in one of your cities for improved city stability. The more you have, though, the more allegiance they gain, and then later on you can use that for other things. So I don't know what the strategy is going to be exactly, but it would be beneficial to kind of farm out a free city's heroes before you convert them. Yeah, we'll see. Or capture them, I should say. City Structures. The Collector replaces the Experimentation Chambers. This is their vendor replacement. It grants +20 gold income, costs -5 stability. The Shadow Trade Quarter, it replaces the Underground Laboratory, or is the Underground Laboratory replaces the market, grants +30 gold income and costs 10 stability. Oh, there still is the Overlord's Tower. This is the unique Tier 3 city structure that grants 5 Imperium income and +5 city stability per vassal. So the Overlord's Tower previously, it's seen a number of changes over the years, but this previously existed to prevent your provinces from breaking away and would make you immune to like city stability problems. The Dark Culture is no longer immune to that, but they do now have taverns and pools and stuff, which is not listed here. Maybe they'll get around to it, who knows. Research skills. Mark of the Tyrannic Cult gives the Cult of Tyranny to non-cultural units tyrannical exploitation. Target vassal city will no longer gain allegiance, but vassal income is increased by 20% for each point of allegiance gained. They showed this off in the dev stream. They had 3 heroes captured of their free city, and when they cast tyrannical exploitation on them, it was +60%. So that's why I think there could be some sort of strategy to try and like farming out a free city's heroes before vassalizing it and then exploiting it later on. Of course, you want to do this later once they're like supreme vassals so that they weren't getting allegiance anyway, but we'll see. Baneful Curse, a tactical debuff spell, no longer inflicts under defense and under resistance, now has a 90% chance to inflict 2 times weakened and a 90% chance to inflict 2 times misfortune. Okay. Combat gameplay. The Cult of Tyranny. I think the music is really quiet. It's so finicky. The Aura of Tyranny, adjacent enemy units suffer -1 status effect resistance. Exploit vulnerability. Repeating attacks and abilities gain a 60% chance to inflict 1 status vulnerability and heal the attacker for +5. Single shot attacks and abilities gain 90% chance to inflict 1 status vulnerability and heal the attacker for 10 HP. So this is kind of the repurposing of Call the Weak, but it's more generalist now, because it's not just when they're weakened you heal, it is now just you heal in general, and you can apply status vulnerability to then do all sorts of gnarly things to the enemies. And we're about to see just how much you benefit from enemies having all sorts of status effects. The Cult of Tyranny subculture specializes in breaking their enemy's spirit, generally favoring defense more than the other dark subcultures. There's just one more. They plan to add more. Primarily through liberal application of Weakened. So the Immortal is a Tier 1 shock unit. It's basically the Dark Warrior, just expendable. The Tier 1 range unit is the Pursuer, again unchanged but has a teleport now. The Warlock is a Tier 2 battle mage. This is largely unchanged, but it now has optional cavalry. The Sundering Curse no longer applies Weakened. It increased inflicted stacks of Sunder defense from 1 to 2, and stacks of Sunder resistance from 1 to 2. It also bounces. Did I do that already? It'll bounce to 1 additional unit. And the champion rank Sundering Curse changed from increasing inflicted stacks to a 90% chance to inflict 2 times Weakened. Okay. The Tyrant Guard is the Tier 2 polearm. Don't worry, the Tyrant Guard himself has been renamed to the Subjugator. Renamed from Night Guard. The melee strike, new effect. Attacks have a 60% chance to inflict immobilized for 1 turn. And don't forget, this guy is probably hitting someone with some level of status resistance removal. And the new passive Aura of Contempt. Gain +1 armor and resistance per debuff on the attacking unit. I think this guy is going to be so annoying. If played well, and you have so many debuffs, this guy's going to be like unkillable. The Tyrant Knight, Tier 3 shock unit. Is that what the Tyrant Knight was called previously? Well, it's the Subjugator now anyway. This is the Dark Knight, renamed. His charge strike no longer inflicts under defense, but now has a 90% chance to inflict 2 times Weakened for 3 turns. He has a new ability, Trample. A single action charge attack, 2-turn cooldown. Single shot based melee, inflict 24 physical damage, displace, and replace. Primary target is knocked out of defense mode and loses retaliations. Adjacent enemy units have a 90% chance to suffer Weakened for 3 turns, and you enter defense mode. Here's the new passive Despotic Vitality. At the end of the turn, this unit heals plus 15 HP for each adjacent enemy unit. So the idea of the Tyrant Knight now is that he gets into the thick of it, and he tries to pierce the front line into the back line, and then he heals for being surrounded. Of course, if you're surrounded by spears, you're still going to die, but could be fun. Could be fun. That was the Cult of Tyranny. Again, they're very similar to how the Dark Culture was already. They're just a better, more varied version of it. And now for the new thing. The Cult of Death. This is a Shadow Nature affinity. Their theme is Power from Death, and their combat focus is Critical Strikes, Anti-Healing, and Blight. Their world map gameplay is Embalming. They can embalm heroes in the crypts, grants +1 Embalm Sacrifice, 25 mana plus 25 mana per level of the hero, and removes the hero from the crypt. They may use Embalm Sacrifices to construct special city structures in your cities, may use Embalm Sacrifices to cast Morbid Sacrifice on friendly armies, and when the defeated hero setting is set to Owner, in the Advanced Realm settings, an Embalm Sacrifice is generated when the player defeats a hero. The defeated hero. Oh, can you turn on advanced settings that when your hero dies, it goes to your crypt, even if you lose? Interesting. Well, it's good to know. I'm glad they thought of that, because I didn't know that was a thing. So, city structures. The Grave Obelisk replaces the Mana Obelisk. It costs 1 Embalm Sacrifice and grants +30 mana and +10 stability. That is a crazy structure for the early game. And if you can find a hero early on, this is so worth crafting or building. The Crypt Temple replaces the Monolith. It costs 2 Embalmed Sacrifices and grants +40 mana and +20 stability. The Soul Vault, which is the replacement for the Overlord's Tower, is a unique Tier 3 city structure. Costs 3 Embalmed Sacrifices, grants +2 XP per turn to the Governor. Wow. And +10 knowledge per turn. Interesting. Is this the first XP per turn that we have for a hero? Okay. The Mausoleum replaces the Dark Forge. That's the SPI, right? Which has been reworked as well. It wasn't listed in the Cult of Tyranny, but it is better now. It's a gold mine. Is it 10 gold? And then it gains like +5 production per quarry or forester or something. Costs 3 embalmed sacrifices. Counts as a research post. Grants plus 10 knowledge and plus 3 knowledge per adjacent conduit. That is so not worth it. That is so not good. What? I mean, knowledge is valuable, but 3 embalmed sacrifices for that? Isn't the Frostspire from like the tier 1 tome this, but plus knowledge per ice terrain? I don't know about this one, team. You're gonna have to sell me on the Mausoleum. Research skills. Mark of the Death Cult is, of course, the non-cultural units will gain your power from death, which is insane, by the way. This could be the most powerful cultural skill in the game. I mean, the Affinity Incarnate from Architects, has no ceiling, technically, theoretically, on paper. But I think functionally, Power from Death is the most powerful one. I'm not sure if they'll explain what it is, but it is when something dies, friendly or enemy, it is plus 5 max HP and plus 2% critical chance, stacking up to 10 times. It's so crazy. Death Waltz, the tactical buff spell, target friendly unit regains all action points, dispels all negative status effects, gains Death Waltz, which ignores the casualties, returns after combat with full HP, it has Resurgence, but this unit will die at the end of the turn. So if you have a unit in the thick of things, you know they're going to die, you pop this, they go back to full HP, do max damage, and take a second turn. And then they die. Morbid Sacrifice is a strategic army spell, so on the world map. It costs 1 Embalm Sacrifice. Units in friendly armies in province restore to full HP, gain Universal Camouflage for 3 turns, gain plus 13 morale until the end of the next combat, and gain plus 20 max HP until the end of the next combat. This is going to be one of the craziest offensive spells in the game, I think. Because when you're attacking like a thrown city, you just have army after army being thrown at you. Now you can replenish. Doing this was already a thing with the Order Right. You could pop to just full heal your whole army. Now you can do this on a spell. I mean, it just required an Embalm Sacrifice, but usually you're bonking heroes along the way. I think this can be really good. Okay, here it is. The Power from Death. Units with this trait gain the following when any unit dies. Plus 1 Mortal Blessing. Plus 2 if this unit struck the killing blow. This unit gains plus 5 max HP per stack and plus 2% critical hit chance. Lasts until end of combat. May stack up to 10. That is so crazy. Unit lineup. Dark units lineup generally favors offense over defense. Very true. The Cult of Death subculture leans in this aspect even more, favoring hitting hard over self-preservation. So they have the Outrider Tier 1 Scout, so does the Cult of Tyranny. They have the Immortal and the Pursuer, which is exactly the same. Their Warlock is the Mortalist, a Tier 2 Battle Mage. Optional Cavalry, Blight Bolts, it is a repeating magical attack. And Death Hex, active ability, this is former Sundering Curse, is a single shot debuff magic base attack. Interesting. As a 1-turn cooldown, target enemy unit and another within 3 hexes sustains damage, inflicts Life Seed, which will heal nearby unit on death for 20 temporary hit points, inflicts 2 times decaying for 3 turns, inflicts, not just chance to inflict, it just gives it, and at champion rank, plus 4 blight damage, plus 1 decaying. That's almost max stacks just from one ability. Also, is it really a 1-turn cooldown? This ability is unique in that it is just 1 AP. Usually Battle Mage's special action is full AP, 3 AP. This is just 1. So you can reposition and still cast this. I think this is going to be a pretty good ability. The Death Guard replaces the Night Guard. Deathly Vitality, active ability, single action, range 4? Why would it have a range? 2-turn cooldown, heal self for 10 HP plus 10 per stack of Mortal Blessing, enters defense mode. So, yeah. You're beaten on a tier 2 polearm and it just heals for 110 HP. That's it. Like, this is going to be annoying, but it is worth noting. This can be countered with Decay. Decay. We'll see how this pans out, but I could feel infuriated with this. The Death Stalker. So here is the new tier 3 unit that replaces the Tyrant Knight, Dark Knight, whatever you want to call him. And I think this is where this culture is going to go from really good to Really great. It has a melee single strike base action, single shot base melee, 100% to inflict 2 times decaying, so they don't have repeating attack, they hit once. They're kind of like rogues, assassin type characters. And they have the new ability, Death Stalk. This is a single action, single shot base melee, once per combat, but its cooldown resets on kill, just like the Pursuer. Target an enemy unit in range 3, displace and replace the target, inflict 25 damage, and it has Fatality, so the damage increases based on the target's lost HP. You enter defense mode after use. That all sounds fantastic, but here's where they go to the next level. They have Fatebringer. This unit gains plus 5% damage for each stack of Mortal Blessing, and they have Blessed End. They gain an additional +1 Mortal Blessing for dealing the killing blow. So they'll gain 3 Mortal Blessing on if they deal the killing blow. At 10 stacks, which if you have like random summons and skeletons and you're fighting a full 18v18 battle, is not crazy to conceive. That is plus 50 max HP, plus 20% critical damage, or critical chance, plus 50% damage. On top, of course, of all of your enchantments for fighters and whatnot. I think this is going to be nutty. I really do. They're also slippery and they have universal camouflage. Oh, interesting. They added universal camouflage. They thought about adding this. It wasn't in the dev build, but it kind of makes sense they added it. And slippery is just super annoying. Yeah, those are the new Dark Cultures. I think they're going to be really good. Really good. The only thing that makes me raise my eyebrow is this mausoleum thing. But I would 100% rather have the Dark Forge. But, yeah. Minor complaint in a really ridiculous stack, I think. Quality of life. Added AI spellcasting toggles to combat spells. What? AI spellcasting toggles. While on the world map, you can now allow/disallow specific spells to be used by the AI during auto combat. Oh, interesting. So this is when you do an auto, when you have AI can cast spells. Do you just disable all the bad spells and force them to cast the Anthem of Victory? That's kind of what it looks like. Updating the way combat enchantments are visualized during combat. Combat enchantments now show the number of turns until they trigger. Combat enchantments now show the number of turns until they expire, that are active this turn are shown as opaque. Combat enchantments that are not active this turn are transparent. Combat enchantments that will be active on the next turn have a red glow. Okay, that's like the stuff on the top left corner. I'm assuming this red glow thing is specifically for like when you're fighting on a magical material and it's like every 2 turns we remove all of your buffs because screw you. You know? Added trait descriptions to the form tooltip to make it easier to read without needing to mouse over each trait separately. Good. The upkeep and main type of a unit can now be seen in this tooltip when viewing unit unlocked from tomes. Good. Mousing over the action point type of an icon. The action point icon of an ability when a unit is selected in combat now gives a tooltip explaining what the icon means. Okay, great. AI. This is shorter than I would like it to be, but let's see what we're working with here. AI improvements are just kind of like a drop in the well. You know, it's never going to be perfect. Always something going to be wrong. They just need to prevent it from breaking itself. That's it. Made the AI more persistent in attacking a city where the siege has been completed. Made the AI more persistent in attacking a city where the siege has been completed. Did they just leave? I mean, I know in the Blint playthrough, I've actually saved one of my cities several times because the infestation has taken the city and then just walked off before it's been raised or whatever they do. So just walk onto it and retake it. Is that what that's trying to prevent? Yeah, either way, good thing. Combat AI. AI improvements for primal units. Better understanding of using Primal Fury. Good. Better understanding of when to use Disengaging Shot. Good. I've seen the AI walk up to something and Disengaging Shot it. That may happen less. Improved understanding of status effects that should only be applied when an enemy is rage. Take aim, focused aim, dagger of the right. True Stick Star. Oh yeah, they would have had to fix this because dagger of the right will now kill their unit. Well, if we see Blood Cultists just falling over for no reason, we'll know this didn't quite work as intended. The combat AI will now reduce threat around units that are paralyzed when the paralyzed effect is predicted to last longer than 1 turn. Okay. Well, improvements are improvements. Art. New icons for Bathhouse, the XP bonus unit property, and the Heavy Fog, previously called Lightless, realm trait. Okay. Updated the world map visual for the Fey Fisher as it had issues when appearing next to coasts. Fantastic. Audio. Updated tactical music tag system to play specific DLC music at the right place. Updated the sound effects for Clairvoyance Ritual. I don't even remember what that does. Oh, this is the Eldritch Sovereign and soon-to-be Elder Vampire ritual that like shows you the nearest thing. Okay, great. Now for more spicy deets. The cultures. Alrighty. I see a big developer note here. For the feudal culture, the feudal aristocracy, the Liege Guard. Sworn Bond no longer takes all damage with the 25% reduction, now mirrors damage with 50% reduction, effectively splitting the damage between both members. Oh! Huh. That's interesting. Is that better or worse? I mean, it'll keep the Liege Guard alive longer. That's nice. Interesting. I have to play with that one. I think the Liege Guard is one of the strongest parts of the aristocracy. Mystic. The Arcane Guard increased their base armor from 1 to 2. Great. School of Summoning. Mystic summoners have been rebalanced, removing excessive stat boosts that made them a mandatory element of any magic origin utilizing build. Astral Echoes are now gained only from the pickups, which must be sought out. Astral Connection has been reworked to maintain synergy with magic origin units without excessive stat imbalance between this and other cultures utilizing those units. Okay. Removed the Astral Echo gain from unlocking research skills. Culture passive, Astral Connection, reworked to be more effective and play a bigger role instead of the flat, unconditional boost formerly given by Master Summoner. It no longer grants +5 morale to friendly magical origin units. It now grants +1 defense and +1 resistance to both units while adjacent to a friendly magical origin unit. I see. Hero passive Master Summoner no longer increases magic origin unit damage by 10%, and no longer increases the magic origin unit HP by 10. Boo. It was a pretty good culture. Unit passive Astral Resonance no longer grants strength into magic origin units when casting spell. Added new research skill for Mystic Summoners, Scroll of Astral Connection, to grant Astral Connection to non-mystical cultural units. Updated Mystic Summoners tutorial to remove mentioning of the Astral Echoes, and upgraded their subculture description. Did they just take away Master Summoner then? Huh. This is kind of a kick in the nuts for the School of Summoning. Okay. I haven't played the School of Summoning at all. I think I did it once. It was pretty good. No, it might not be anymore. The Oathsworn. The Seal Bearer. This is their battle mage that they share across all of them. Reduce cooldown of Resonance / Transference / Fire Seal from 3 to 1. So this is the link, right? Okay. I mean, that's fine. I guess you can move it around now. Oh boy. Architect damage stacking from Affinity Incarnate turned out problematic. Shocker. And has thus been reworked into a more controlled version. This has the added benefit of not disproportionately discouraging single city playstyles for Architect cultures, and allowing us to add a starting stack of Affinity Incarnate to ensure a smoother start. It would have helped Blint out. That's for sure. So Affinity Incarnate. Affinity Incarnate damage is now determined by the dominant affinity. Affinity Incarnate gained from monuments is now capped at 4. Other sources, such as Cultivators or the one starting Affinity Incarnate, can exceed this cap. So you can have 5. Architect players now start with 1 Affinity Incarnate inherently. Dominant Affinity description updated to clarify the property / damage channel swap Affinity Incarnate. Okay, hold on. So Affinity Incarnate is specifically the +1 damage of Insert Affinity. And it sounds like the most you can have just baseline at any time is 5. Okay. So this means you want... Any gained from monuments is now capped at 4. So you want to rush your first monument to its max and then dedicate other ones to other affinities. Is what it's sounding like. City structures. The affinity obelisks updated description to clarify monument tier count rather than affinity incarnate directly. Functionality unchanged. Description to clarify monument tier count. Updated concept for monuments and the culture to reflect the new implementation of affinity incarnate. The SPI monument stage 1 now grants plus instability income. I felt like the affinity and obelisks were like the low-key strongest part of the culture, because you can just build that and have like 60 stability and 60 food in a new city, which is insane, by the way. Clarify monument tier count. Interesting. Supposedly it's unchanged functionally, but we'll have to see. I guess it's a good thing we're finishing the Blint playthrough before this comes in. I should specify the Star Guardian Blint playthrough. Unit Shademaker. Shoot bow, increase base attack damage, increase from 10 to 12, good. Incarnate shot, increase range from 4 to 6, also fantastic. I don't like the Shademaker. Unit Architect, so this is the tier 3 unit. Did they fix its healing? Incarnate Restoration, now multiplies based on the stacks on the caster rather than the target. It can now heal mythics. Huzzah! Additional healing per second for the Incarnate increased from 10 to 20, and reduce the cooldown from 3 to 2. This is a huge buff for the Architect. So previously, I think it was a 20 baseline heal with 10 healing per stack of Affinity Incarnate on your target. So if you were to target your big ol' scary dragon, you'd heal it for 20. But then if you were to target your Lord, for example, you could heal for 150. It was very strange, and it has been fixed, it sounds like. The Affinity Tesseract now counts as a battle mage for the purposes of enchantments affecting them. Fantastic. The Affinity Tesseract now inherits rank from the Architect when summoned. No longer gains rank from global effects like the Wizard Tower. That's also a great buff. The Affinity Tesseract are now tier 2 expendable summons. This means they gain plus 5 HP per rank rather than 10. And the base damage has been reduced from 12 to 10. That's fine. The Architect's Champion rank now grants the Tesseract Frenzy until the end of battle correctly, rather than for 1 turn. So overall, the Architect got a huge buff. The Racial Tier 3 unit is now super, super, super good. The Shademaker is better. Functionally, the Obelisk should be the same. The Affinity Incarnate cap is going to be a huge... I don't think it'll be a problem, because like I said, we start with 1, which is fantastic, by the way. That is a great change to help out the early game. Capping it from the monuments at 4 means that a single monument can bring you all the way to your damage maximum. Okay. They definitely got a lot weaker as far as like their endless scaling potential, but I do think this is fair. We'll see. The city structure. The Wizard Tower prison cells no longer need to unlock the ability to execute heroes in your prisons. Nice. So is it now just to convert them or something? Well, you get the mana as well, but... Free City. Free cities will no longer automatically declare peace when their allegiance passes the threshold. Making peace with the Free City is now a separate action. Okay. Heroes. Defenders, Warriors, Spellblades, Death Knights, and Battle Saints can now use melee/ranged skirmisher weapons. They mentioned this on the dev stream for Defenders and Warriors, and we kind of extrapolated the other two. But I forgot about Battle Saints. So this is things like the Javelin, the sword and crossbow, sword and pistol, that sort of thing. Good change. I have a feeling someone's going to find a way to break this. I haven't figured out how yet. But I think something's going to happen. Ambitions, the Crusader. Now includes Umbral Demons as a valid unit type. It didn't already? This is the, is this for the major ambition? To defeat a tier 4 undead or fiend? Or higher? The Steward, now available for rulers during faction creation. What? Oh my. Steward is one of the, is it like 4? I think it was like 4 ambitions that the rulers couldn't be. Because Steward is just like, make your city good. And you get a pretty fat reward for it, if I recall correctly. The Ambition Collector, increase renown gain per 3 turns of having an item equipped from 2 to 3. Wait, what? Increase renown gained per 3 turns of having an item equipped from 2 to 3. Oh, okay. So for the minor ambition for Collector was to have an item equipped for 3 turns. And now you get, and you got 2 renown, now you get 3. Okay, they made Collector a little better. No big deal. Usually for a Collector, you don't care about the minor ambition. You want the major one, which is just to have everything tier 2 or higher equipped. You get a whole bunch of renown for that, and then something good. Alright, so here's Battle Saint. Now, my opinion of the Battle Saint is that it is not very good. In fact, I can go one step further and say that Cleric is the weakest archetype in the entire game. From what I've seen so far, I don't believe this goes far enough, but let's determine that together, shall we? So the passive Cleric, and this is at the very top of the tree, now grants +1 resistance to the hero and adjacent allies. So when you pick your Cleric path, you're a little more durable against magic, and you can share that if you're standing next to somebody. For Paladin, it's the exact same thing, but for defense. So your front line is slightly more durable. Passive Fervorous Disciple and passive Fervorous Martyr are no longer mutually exclusive. Okay. The active ability Bless has been replaced by the active ability Cleanse, and the active ability Cleanse has been replaced by the passive Fortunate Support, which grants +1 fortune on support abilities. Okay. Ironically, I think this is a nerf, because Bless gave +1 fortune. It was a really bad version of Bless, but it was a free action support skill, so you can still use it to activate all of the other passives you have. You know? It's kind of jank, but it was kind of okay. Passive Healing Support. Swap with passive Regenerating Support. Is Healing Support the... you heal for 10 when you use a support skill? Active ability Warding Bond swap with passive Martyr's Blood. Warding Bond is in the center of the tree. Active ability Spiritual Guidance, new effect, increases positive morale gain by 50%. Active ability Condemnation, increase range from 1 to 4. Increase chance of inflicting condemned from 90% to guaranteed. This is on the far right side of the tree. Yep, Team, I think it's still bad. Someone, I think it was Scanix, had a great idea of making a bunch of these abilities like leave 1 AP, because Cleanse is a 1 AP action. This is your turn to Cleanse. But you can make it leave 1 AP. You can make Cleric's Fervor, whatever the heal is called, leave 1 AP. So you can still swing. Yeah, I don't think this was enough. Ranger, support, or passive, knockback snapshot, now allows snapshot to be used within enemy zone of control. Nice, that's a good buff. Interface, add an explanation of different types of attacks to the action point encyclopedia entry. Okay. The list of enchantments for a unit in the Tome of Wonders now only shows enchantments that are compatible with the units. That's good. Faction tooltips on blocked factions in faction selection will now show why the faction is blocked, if possible. Blocked faction, huh? Change the order of subcultures for base game cultures to have the more beginner-friendly one at the top. Makes sense. Improve the alphabetical sorting across multiple lists for different languages. Updated the combat summon tooltip to specify that its death does not affect the morale of allies, so that it dies when it is only left with other combat summons or non-vital units, and that the property duration is what indicates the summon duration. Okay, good. Updated the city interface with new population tracker and rush button. Yeah, the new thing, I didn't like it when I first saw it because it was different. It was like change. But I do think it's good because it opens up more potential for the future. It's like expanding the potential of the UI compared to before where the population was kind of just there. Updated the prison interface with origin headers. Okay, so this is just for the prison in general. I thought this might have been a Cult of Tyranny thing only. But basically when you're in the prison, it'll have like a header of this is the free city. For example, Insulter, typical dark culture free city. And underneath that will list all of the heroes from that free city. Then there'll be like another break for Consortium, and the heroes after that, so on and so forth. The Item Forge. Active ability Infusion Whirlwind now scales damage from the hero's primary attack. I didn't use any of these, but I'm glad they're fixed. Power Cleave also the same thing. Active ability Infusion Execute renamed to Assassin's Strike. Now scales damage from the hero's primary attack. Now gains extra damage based on how much health is missing from the target and is now considered a base attack. Increase infusion point cost from 1 to 2. Okay, fair. Passive Infusion Windshield, increase infusion cost from 2 to 3. And the Passive Infusion Windberry, increase infusion point cost from 3 to 4. Aww, I guess they had to do it, but aww. This is like the most powerful ring infusion in the game. Active ability Infusion Summon Umbral Demon, increase infusion point cost for staves from 3 to 4, and for wands from 4 to 5. Are people really using this one? Huh. Maybe I should give it a try. Passive Infusion Army Trainer no longer stacks with itself, so having multiple copies in the same army has no further effect. Oh, I didn't know it did. Shucks, I didn't abuse that. Shatter Blades and Javelins now do slightly more damage to make up for the fact that they block mounts. Oh, that's good. That's great, in fact. Hunter and Vampire Spider mounts have had their web attacks boosted to match the Dread Spider. Cool. You do know we still can't make mounts in the Item Forge, right? Okay. Multiplayer. Blocked the revert button in multiplayer sessions on turn 1. Fixed an issue where a session would hang in classic turns if manual combat was finished outside of the player's turn. And here they are, the Whack-a-Moles. Fixed an out-of-sync issue related to heroes losing a trait. Fixed an out-of-sync when heroes were removed from the map by infestations. And fixed an out-of-sync related to the city building tutorial. One out-of-sync is crushed and another one pops up somewhere else. They continue ever onward. Modding. I don't know what any of this means, but here you go, modders. In the resource and content editors, you can now change the size of the library resource selector and it will get preserved between tabs, including when you open a new resource pack. Move tabs by dragging, close tabs with an X button, close tabs with the middle mouse button click, and open resource packs in the File Explorer. Open file location. As it is named quite aptly. In the resource and content editors, splitter sizes get saved in the config file, so they stay persistent when closing and opening the editor. Added type descriptions to all properties, magic effects, magic targeters, special operations, ability modifiers, and some other types. These can be seen when hovering a type in the type selector dropdown in the resource editor. Map definitions that support lakes now allow you to specify the size of the lake. Cool. The XP bonus property can now be disallowed from stacking. Okay. Pantheon. You can now change the AI difficulty of rulers added through the present straits. Could you not do that before? Miscellaneous trait Lightless has been renamed to Heavy Fog. This is, wonder why they renamed this. This is one of the miscellaneous traits that just makes it difficult to see stuff, like reduced vision range for your army. The Story Realm. Enchanted Archipelago. We did that one. Decimus will now be blocked from moving close to the player's island, therefore blocking building on it until the player has dismissed him or finished his quest. Is that the frog? The Eternal Courts. We did that one too. Ensure that the correct events are triggered when you take the Eternal Court City before getting the quests. Yeah, it wasn't that aggressive. Grixolis. We did that one too. Added various starting buffs to all Shadrai allies, moderately on normal, high on easy. Oh, I mean, my Shadrai allies did pretty well. Yaka was occasionally threatened, but he survived. Slightly moved Meandor closer to Udgard, and moved Fangir moderately closer to Yaka and Nimue, so Shadrai can clash with the Covenant earlier. Fixed that Turiel no longer released extra starting cities as vassals, which led to him being even harder to deal with. He was very tough to kill. But I did it. I slammed my head against his angelic wings and knocked him down. Now here's one I haven't done. I hope this isn't a spoiler, but the Cliffs of Sordun, I believe, are from the Archon Prophecy DLC. Surrendering now functions correctly for the Cliffs of Sordun. Created alternate text for the event at the end that changes upon whether or not the player has rescued Sundrin from the tomes. Chaos. Oh, there were time changes. Hold on. I need to reset the music. It's getting near the end, and I want to read these juicy deets without distraction. Ahem. The Tome of Pyromancy. So this is all Chaos stuff. We were told that the Chaos Tomes got some changes. A little bit of love in here and there. The Tome of Pyromancy. Special province movement. The Ritual Pyre now unlocks the drafting of the Inferno Puppy. And the unit Inferno Puppy melee strike now has a 60% chance to inflict burning. Aww. A reliable way to get the Inferno Puppy. So you could actually do Chaos Nature builds with... How many Chaos Nature... There's the Puppy, which evolves into the Hound. There's the Elephant. Is that it for the Chaos creatures? Tome of the Horde. The unit Warhound no longer inflicts under defense. Instead, it inflicts bleeding. Okay. I'm assuming this is also for the Hound Master Trinket. The Tome of Revelry. The Siege Project Revels of Blood. No longer reduces defending unit morale by 10. Instead, it inflicts 2 stacks of bleeding. And the unit enchantment Blood Fury Weapons now grants +2 physical damage to all base attacks, and no longer grants +5 morale and 1 strengthen on kill. Instead, it inflicts 2 times bleeding on adjacent enemies to the target. But not the enemy itself. The Tome of Devastation. Unit enchantment Flameburst Weapons. Reduce fire damage done to adjacent units from 20 to 15, that is on kill. New effect inflicts 2 burning to adjacent units on killing a unit. So when you kill a unit, it is now 15 damage and 2 burning to adjacent enemy units. Okay. The Devastator Sphere. Detonate and Devastate now inflict burning and places on fire markers. Detonate and Devastate? Is one when the Devastator gets killed the one when you press the button? The Warbreed. Charge Strike. New effect inflicts bleeding. Power Cleave. New effect. 90% chance to inflict bleeding. Is this for Power Cleave that we have too? Or is this just the Warbreed's Power Cleave? Tome of Chaos Channeling. Infernal Might. Now doubles its bonus when applied to a Fiend unit. Cool. Tome of the Chaos Lord. The Baylor. Chaos brand can no longer target Fiends, Heroes, or Siegecraft units. Boo! I could understand Heroes or Siegecraft units. That's the, they have a chance to go insane, and if they die, they explode or something. No, if they die, they make a Hound. But Fiends, really? Also, I think Infernal Might... Is this the... Man, I can't remember. This is either Frenzy or Strengthened or something when, like, a spellcaster does something. Or someone dies. And it affects spellcasters. So in other words, this has even more synergy now with turning your own units into Fiends. Materium. Tome of Discipline. The unit enchantment's Empowered Strikes no longer applies to units without a repeating melee attack. I guess that makes sense. Was it working that way? But wait, so it was doing that already, but was it working? Because the way this worked is that every 3rd strike you had a chance to stun. But if you only have 1 strike, there's no 3rd strike. The Tome of Evolution. Unit enchantment, Rapid Evolution, now applies to all evolved units. Which evolved units was it not applying to? I felt like it was doing that. Okay. And Shadow, the Tome of the Reaper. World map spell Summon Reaper. Increase casting costs from 200... Hank, don't abbreviate Cyberpunk! To 300 casting points. Tome of the Revenant. World map spell Fallen Angel. Increase casting costs from 200 to 300 casting points. Okay, so they want you to have less of these. Also, when I said that the new Blood Exarch was like the greatest mythic unit, someone told me they have nothing on the Fallen Angel. So I'm going to have to play with one of these soon. I still haven't. But my expectations have been set very high for the Fallen Angel. I'm surprised they increased the casting point cost for this. But alright. Units. Polearm units. Base HP increased by 5. Cool. Skeletons now have expendable, meaning they do not affect friendly unit morale on death. I have a theory, but I'll read this first. The unit Skeleton Polearm has been renamed to Skeleton Militia. Increase HP from 50 to 55. Combined with the Polearm buff, this gives them 60 max HP. What? Oh. All Polearm units get plus 5 base HP. Does that include my goat, the Pyre Warden? I don't think it should include my goat, the Pyre Warden. But okay, great. So my theory, it's a harebrained theory here. I think that being able to produce skeletons in your own city, make skeletons of your own culture, is very powerful. That's my theory. That's it. You know, I feel like it's pretty good. Because normally you raise skeletons from the enemies, right? And you get like their culture and who knows what whack buffs they're working with. But you can control your transformations. We'll see. Unit Razorback. Passive Quillhide now inflicts guaranteed bleeding against melee attackers. Reduced stats to be more in line with the other ranged users of its tiers. Its tier. Reduce HP from 70 to 60. Reduce defense from 2 to 1. And resistance from 2 to 1. Did the Razorback really need a nerf? I guess it is an actual ranged unit. I thought it was a skirmisher for a second, but I don't think it is. The Floral Stinger can now be affected by Hastened and Cosmic Overdrive. The Wrangler Ogre now has the generic champion rank up for support units. Can we even get the Wrangler Ogre? Isn't this the guy who sells you pets or mounts? The Inferno Hound increased melee strike chance to inflict burning from 60% to 90%. Hey, look, a doggy buff. Okay. Is the Floral Stinger the unit you can summon, or is it just a combat summon thing? Cosmic Overdrive remains really good. World Map. Reworked how magical materials are spawned on the map. Thank you! Improving control over the total number per layer and making sure there is a more balanced amount of each material. Yes! Reworked the way magic material collections function. They now require any combination of 3 unique materials in their set to complete. This is because of the Blood Glass. Reduced the amount of custom Blessed Regions appearing when Giant King's DLC is enabled during realm creation, and players within their team are now more consistently spawning closer to each other. So, this magical material starvation thing I hope is soon over. I believe this was caused because they, like on the back end, they set each magical material to have its own like spawning terrain and whatnot. And that really starved people. It sucks for architects, but hopefully we'll find some more. And then there are fixes. There are a lot of fixes. Fix units recruited after combat not getting properties, such as for the Monarch. That would have been annoying. Fix non-architect heroes gaining incarnate abilities when recruited by an architect player. Kind of thought that was intended, but okay. So you can look at these if you want. Again, I'll leave a link in the description down below. Just almost always, a fix is something that was not working, now working. And isn't this that fantastic? Isn't that great? I love fixes. I'm just not going to read them all. You know how it is. So, how do we think about the patch? What do we think? The School of Summoning change came out of nowhere. I don't play with them enough to know if it was deserved, but I'm sure they have the data. I'm sure you can tell me. I think the cults are going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad that there are 2 of them for some very different type of play styles. I think the Cult of Tyranny is actually be really fun. Vassal Swarm was already really strong, and they just kind of lean into it. They might even push it over the edge. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And I think the Cult of Death is going to be cracked. Just disgusting. And the Architect, we'll see how the Architect thing happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they raise... Well, so the reason they chose 4 for the cap is because that's how many, levels of the monument there is. So it makes perfect sense. You can now play with a single city type situation. Like Mega City and Chosen Destroyer, which doesn't really make sense for Architects. But if you did go Chosen Destroyer Architect, they were very heavily punished for only having one city, whereas now they're not. So no. We'll see. I like these buffs, though. These buffs are good. But that was the patch. As always, you can find a link in the description to the patch if you'd like to read it for yourself. View the descriptions, go over the many, many fixes that have been included. This is currently an open beta on Steam only, but it will be available to everybody for free on November 11th when the thrones of blood darken the sky. Thank you to the patrons and the channel on the support channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to stay up to channel, feel free to join the description down below. I will see you very soon for the next Dev Diary, Dev Stream Breakdown.